think he said we could just go, didn't he, once I waved at him? Okay. Having an issue with Comcast. All right. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the October 11th, 2010 Lake Washington School District Board of Directors meeting. And tonight, if anybody is was at home wanting to watch us on television, we're not being televised. There's an issue with a Comcast cable that was cut. So we will be on the internet and can be viewed there, both live, or they can watch us later tonight or tomorrow. So that's where we are. Board members are all present, and we've just spent time in a lively discussion in our work session that everyone will hear more about shortly. So I'll entertain a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The agenda is approved as presented. So our host school is first.
Great. Thanks, Jackie. As you know, every month we have the opportunity to have one of our schools come and tell us about their academic programs as well as the progress they're making with kids. Tonight we have the pleasure of having the Environmental and Adventure School, which is one of our choice programs in the district. They're housed on the Finn Hill Junior High School campus and serve about 140 6th through 9th graders. And they just celebrated their 11th anniversary, is that right? They're in their 11th year as a school and still have the core team of teachers. And so I'd like to introduce Principal Cindy Duenas, who will introduce the Environmental Adventure School team.
So, Dr. Kimball, board members, thank you. I think I do that every time. So I'll start again. Dr. Kimball and board members, thank you for inviting us to host the board meeting this evening. I've had the pleasure to be at Environmental and Adventure School, I feel like this is too loud, for the past several years, and it's been an honor to work with staff and students. It's an incredible place to be, and I'm very, very fortunate I have the position that I have. I'd like to introduce two professionals to you. I'm sure you already know them, but I am honored to work with Eileen McMacken, the lead teacher of EAS, and Brian Healy, an outstanding math and science instructor. My role, quite frankly, for these last several years has been really twofold. Keep the inspiration and the passion entrenched in moving forward and keep them legal. We have good quality laughter over that legal part every Wednesday during LEAP time. And risk management knows us well. So with that, I'd like to have Eileen McMacken come forward. Thank you.
The Environmental and Adventure School was founded in 1999, and we are currently in our 12th year of providing a challenging education to 6th through 9th graders. Our vision emphasizes high academic achievement, a sense of community, a commitment to stewardship, and challenge and support for all of our learners. Toward achieving this vision, we challenge students academically as well as personally and socially in their development. Students at EAS benefit from engaging in learning that is both meaningful and purposeful. They have a sense of belonging to the EAS community, and they develop leadership and stewardship skills over their 4 years at EAS. There are a number of features of EAS that expand and promote student learning, and we'll go over some of these in more depth as we go along here, but initially, the curriculum and instruction is organized around the all-school theme of interdependent relationships, people, and their environments. 6th through 8th graders are in multi-grade classes for language arts, social studies, science, art, and fitness. Over these 3 years, they rotate through a curriculum that is integrated around a yearly theme and integrated across disciplines as much as possible. Students at EAS participate in 3 weeks of adventure education excursions and 12 days of community stewardship projects each year. Leadership at EAS is an ongoing and 4-year process for all students. Our parent-teacher organization works with us to organize an annual Healthy Choices Fair, run like a conference for all of our students. 9th graders participate in an extensive culminating project on a current environmental issue. And finally, EAS parents are involved in many different ways that benefit all students. Our PTO actively supports the work and goals of the school. Families contribute a minimum of 25 hours per year, and many go far beyond. At a time when parents typically or often start to lose touch with their teens in a junior high setting, we find that our parents remain very much engaged. These features of EAS promote the successful learning of our students. Most EAS students tend to exceed the standard on state assessments in all areas. Parent and alumni feedback express the positive gains for students who attend and graduate from EAS.
In 2009, the last year of the WASL, EAS students exceeded the standard in 6 of the EAS students met or exceeded the standard in all of their 8 strands of the WASL. In the 8th grade reading and 9th grade science tests, 100% of the students met the standard. Historically, throughout the WASL, we also found that EAS students performed well. Not only do they meet the standard, but they also, over the term of the WASL, showed steady and continuous gains in all areas. As we move now into the new MSP, the first year of the MSP test, we see that EAS students continue to exceed at high levels. This data from state testing really feeds our continuous improvement plan, or the SIP. Each year, EAS staff meet and review and analyze all the state testing data. We use this information to work together to set our goals according to the prioritized needs of students, both at grade level groups and also as individuals. We then continue classroom assessment. We include classroom assessment data with the WASL and MSP results to continually form our CIP plan. We identify and implement specific strategies for subject areas and review these monthly at staff work sessions. Staff also has adapted research-based school-wide literacy strategies of the month to improve literacy across all curriculum areas. Key to our success with students is that we review individual student progress at weekly meetings, where we design strategies that include parent involvement to address the needs of individual students. Our parents consistently share with us that they witness great growth in their students, both cognitively, academically, and self-confidence and self-esteem and leadership, and most notably in their enthusiasm for learning. A few of our parent comments are there for you to read. Not only do we notice these positive comments from parents, but also as our alumni come back, and they continually come back and come back, it's so great to see them over the years. They share that both in high school and in college and beyond, that they are well prepared. We consistently hear from them that they are not only academically well equipped, but also well equipped with leadership and presentation skills. They greatly value their EAS experiences, including excursion and community service projects. stop and talk a little bit about specific academic areas right now. In science, EAS students receive 6 hours per week of science at all grade levels. The thematic curriculum stresses relationships between concepts and application of science concepts to the student's world. Our excursions and service projects incorporate scientific learnings on a regular basis.
Social studies is a good example of the thematic organization of our curriculum. Classes of 6th through 8th graders rotate through a 3-year cycle of instruction that focuses on local and then U.S. regions and then the contemporary world. 9th graders, who are no longer part of the multi-grade classes, study the same Pacific Rim units as other 9th graders in Lake Washington School District. Emphasis on instruction in social studies is on research, projects, and multimedia presentations. Language arts skills are practiced and applied in units of study presented in social studies, science, and art. Students read from all genres and write extensively at EAS in all forms. We strongly emphasize presentation skills and the use of technology in all classes. We have 4 years of Spanish at EAS. The first 2 years are introductory and focus on elements of culture and language. Students begin the district Spanish curriculum as 8th graders. Art is integrated whenever possible in the language arts, social studies, and science classes, as well as a class of its own. Students work with a variety of media and over 4 years develop strong drawing skills. Their skill in drawing, design, and organization is applied in the graphic work that they do in all of their classes. In addition to fitness instruction at school, EAS students develop outdoor recreational skills on excursions and in elective classes. These examples are canoeing, sailing, swimming, hiking. All students also participate in a fitness challenge that is during our annual Health Fair Week.
From the very beginning of our school, when we first were forming it and came before the Choice Schools Committee, we were asked, why the environmental focus? Well, in our planning, we found initial and continued research by the State Educational Environmental Roundtable that showed powerful results in schools where the theme of the environment was used as an integrating context. Using this environmental theme resulted in meaningful research activities for students, a common focus. It built student awareness of their role in shaping and caring for their environments. It also provided strong attitudinal gains for students across all areas. More recent studies by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation reinforce the power of integrating and thematic learning. We're also asked, why Adventure Ed? Sure, it's fun, it's great, but we found that there's huge gains for students. We find that there's powerful effects for student climate. Adventure Ed appropriately stretches student comfort zones and encourages them to depend on one another, which then builds school community. It has helped to develop this incredibly strong community at EAS, and in turn, this focuses academic and personal growth for all students. Those Adventure Ed excursions, we have 3 of them each year, 3-week-long excursions. There's one in the fall, there's one in the spring, and one at the end of the year. They all focus on learning, community building, adventure, and service to the community. And I'm going to detail those 3 excursions now. Our first excursion is literally in the first 2 weeks of school. We all go off to Camp Hamilton, which is a CYO camp in the foothills of the Cascades, and it is truly a community building experience there. That's where we welcome in our new 6th grade students to the learning community. And what's amazing is when you're those students have not made connections in the first few days of school, but after that week, they're high-fiving 8th and 9th graders they never knew before. It's just a powerful, powerful experience. During that Camp Hamilton experience, there is leadership training for our 9th graders, and we also have several rotations, about 10 different rotations they go through that involve pioneering, environmental learning, science, both arts, fine arts and performing arts, sports, and adventure. In the spring, we have smaller trips each teacher takes, each of our 6 teachers takes students in different directions, so we split up into smaller groups. Again, the focus here is on environmental environments and cultures both. We go anywhere from local venues to regional and international venues. Some of the pictures up at the upper right show some students in Costa Rica last year. Puerto Rico, excuse me. One of those places. The lower right is a coastal hike that we put on every few years where we go out to the extreme northwest Olympic coast. On the left, we have San Juan biking. We also have taken students to Hawaiian volcanoes, the Florida Everglades, the Grand Canyon, the Great Southwest. We have gone to Costa Rica before, too. And we also do day tripping around Seattle and up in Vancouver, BC. The students find that they can apply their studies and learn about other cultures during these week-long trips. Also, the fact that they're smaller groups tend to build small group communities, and also teachers get to know the students on a personal basis much better. At the end of the year, we have a week-long camping trip. Traditionally, we've held that up at Bowman Bay, Deception Pass area. There's a strong emphasis on 9th grade leadership. They are now the leaders of small groups throughout the camp week. Again, we have about 10 rotations that include team building, science, arts, sports, and environmental focused. Some things like pioneering on the upper right you see there. We have some hiking. There's a hiking group in the lower right. And we have strong emphasis on community stewardship. At every one of our camps, we earn some of our camping fees by including community stewardship as a main component. Last year at Bowman Bay, we students over the week built a fence that protected the intertidal areas that were endangered, and the students learned how to hand split the split rail fencing and install it. It's quite a sight to see them as they successfully did this. In the past, we also have built many kiosks, research interpretive signage, worked on invasive species removal, and essentially much anything the parks need. We have a real strong partnership with the Washington State Parks.
With the help of our parent-teacher organization, we host an annual Healthy Choices Fair, which engages our students with highly regarded community experts on different health-related topics and well-being in a conference format with keynote speakers and breakout sessions. It's a great opportunity for all of the kids. Our 9th graders, I mentioned before, participate in an extensive culminating project. This is over a 6-week period in social studies. They are working and developing their research on an issue that is both current and relevant in the world. And they present their work in a 20-minute presentation to an audience and are scored by a panel of teachers and parents. The students are involved in 3 community stewardship projects each year, in addition to the service projects that are part of the week-long excursions. Some of these projects are teaching environmental education to 3rd and 4th graders from Thoreau and Sandburg, doing local park habitat restoration, building and putting up birdhouses to attract native species, and packaging and distributing food at Northwest Harvest. Those are just a few examples. In their 4 years at EAS, each student completes 195 hours of community service, and to date, EAS students have contributed 62,000 hours toward environmental and social needs in the community. So in summary, students at EAS experience academic challenge through a rigorous and integrated curriculum. Most students meet or exceed the standard in state assessments. Parents see the heightened self-confidence and excitement for learning in their children and talk to us about that frequently. And alumni report that they are well prepared in academic knowledge and skills and are noted for their strong presentation skills, leadership, and community involvement.
Well, thank you, Eileen and Brian and Cindy, for your presentation. Does the board have any comments or questions for the EAS team?
All I know is it seemed like it was just yesterday when you guys had this concept of putting together EAS, and it's been here I can't believe it's been here this long, and it's continued to be as strong as it is with your leadership and teaching, and so thank you for continuing to love it and continue to be part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're very, very proud of the work that you do. And, of course, I do have a little bit of bias since 2 of my children went to EAS, so I do have to say that up front. So thank you again for your work.
Unfortunately, mine went through there before they did this.
How about if you need a volunteer for any of those field trips? I'm available.
We got your number.
Okay. Thanks, Brian.
We could do that.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, now our recognition.
Thanks, Jackie. This is always a really exciting time of the year when we get to invite to the board meeting our National Merit semifinalists and commended scholars. And as you know, these students are students who, through the PSAT, top in a very elite class of students across the country. And Lake Washington is privileged to have many of these students. So tonight we are honoring students from International Community School as well as those students from Juanita High School who are national semifinalists and commended scholars. These are some of the finest students in the country, and we are very, very proud of them. So I'd like to introduce Principal Cindy Duenas, who will introduce the ICS students, and Gary Moed, who is here. Is Gary here?
I did see
Yep, Gary is here, who will also introduce the Juanita High School students. So thank you.
All right. So our National Merit semifinalists and commended scholars throughout the district all have a number of qualities that are quite similar, although they are individuals in their own right. But what I'd like to say is, beyond being, I'm hoping I'm speaking for Gary as well, beyond the fact that these kids are bright and articulate and they're driven, I think something that we forget about our kids is that they know the value of volunteerism and community service. And I just don't want that to be forgotten as we're talking about these kids here this evening, because it's very powerful work that they do. It's not always about getting an A in physics. Sorry, Mr. Saxby, I know you're here. Sana Nagar, if you could come forward. Not here this evening. Okay, we have a lot of testing going on, so some of our kiddos are home studying. Kevin Zhang, Nick Rail, Jeff Yu, Alice Chang, Marie Higginbotham. Don't be shy, come on up. They want to see you, so you get to stand up here. Okay. So Marie is involved in drama and the National Honor Society. She is an avid piano player. She volunteers at Evergreen Hospital, and she enjoys dance and takes tap lessons. She's interested in going to either the University of Washington, Whitman, or Willamette, and she is going in as an undecided major, which I think is great. So she's open to all the possibilities. Erica Bykoff, Iris. Iris is a National Honor Society member, a National Art Honor Society member, which is, we're in our second year of that society. She volunteers as well. She's a teacher's assistant at her Tai Chi Academy and Mandarin School. She volunteers at the Redmond Library, and she's a member of P Club, which is a volunteer service organization. She's interested in the University of Washington and Washington University in St. Louis. She's interested in the areas of psychology, chemistry, and communication design. Congratulations. Matthew Olson, Aaron Antino, I think that Aaron, and that this is what your peers say about Aaron, and I know it's true, she could be teaching our AP Calc BC classes. And so we're thrilled to have her at ICS helping out all of us. She's a member of National Honor Society. She's a peer mentor and, of course, probably the leader, not just a member of the math team. She's involved in rowing, piano, and she's doing an unpaid internship with the Fred Hutch Cancer Research Center this summer. She's an AP scholar with distinction. She's headed to Stanford with a major in engineering. Julia Saxby, Mr. Saxby's daughter, and Mrs. Saxby. Julia is an Ignite mentor, a National Honor Society member, and a National Art Honor Society member. She volunteers at Little Bits Therapeutic Riding Center, assisting with special needs young kids. She's also involved in varsity lacrosse. She's interested in anthropology, cultural studies, and environmental science. And I know that she has a number of colleges listed here, and any one of them would be proud to have you. Ian Backstrom. Ian is a member of Key Club, the Environmental Club, Future Business Leaders of America. He is the treasurer of Key Club. He plays varsity tennis at Lake Washington High School, and he has played and taken piano lessons for the last 9 years. An AP scholar, and he was voted most inspirational player on his tennis team. He's interested in UCLA, UBC, and UC Berkeley. Of course, my favorite is UC Santa Barbara, but I don't see it on here. And he's interested in environmental science, earth science, and music. And I'd like to congratulate all of the ICS commended scholars and semifinalists. Thank you.
It is always amazing to see how these students are always very busy students in addition to doing well academically. And it's always a delight to have them here, and congratulations to all of them.
Thank you.
And now,
Juanita.
Thank you, Dr. Kimball and board members. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor, as Ms. Duenas said, and all of our honors, to be connected with these fine students. I know they're having a terrific experience through high school, and they also really enrich our hallways, our classrooms, and each and every day for the teachers who have the pleasure of teaching them and interacting with them every day. Juanita was very pleased to have a total of 14 commended and semi-finalist National Merit Scholars. And I think most everybody is here tonight. I think we're missing a few. I didn't see Bonnie Gilbury. Did you guys see Bonnie? No? Okay. I'll give her certificate at school. Sam Jekyll is here. Sam, why don't you come on up? Sam attended Carl Sandburg and Finn Hill Junior High. He has lots of potential and possibilities for his future. He's thinking of being a Navy SEAL, and then he told me maybe when he's older, like maybe 40 or 50, going into perhaps even running for political office, so probably a major in poli-sci. He's planning on attending Brigham Young University. At Finn Hill, he was particularly inspired by Mr. Lundry in social studies, who, as he told me, added another dimension to the study of economics, politics, and history. At Juanita, he particularly enjoyed advanced placement United States history, and told me that he gained insight. The insight that he gained was that the founders of the country were men and women just like us. He also is a member of the Kirkland Youth Council. I attended a meeting with him just a few days ago, along with Dr. Kimball. He's a member of the Police Explorers. And you said you play acoustic board, and I forgot to ask you what that was, but I'm sure it sounds great. Okay, guitar. Okay. So congratulations, Sam. You can stay right there. Anastasia Mullen. Anastasia, please come up. Anastasia attended John Muir Elementary and Kamaikan Junior High. She'd like to be a dentist and is hoping to attend Washington State University. Her favorite Kamaikan teacher and mentor was Mr. Brandman, because she tells me he was more like a family than a classroom. And in Juanita, she was particularly encouraged and inspired in the Art English block. The idea of connecting English with the arts and creating art based on what's being learned from traditional academic topics was very significant for her. She's involved in Girl Scouts, in Young Life, and in National Honor Society. Congratulations, Anastasia. And Monique Slusher. Monique, is Monique here? Nope, okay. Savannah, I think I saw Savannah coming up. Savannah also attended John Muir Elementary and Kamaikan Junior High School. She's hoping to major in either business or mathematics and would like to interact with others throughout her life and take the lead. And I'm sure she's going to do that. She's hoping to attend University of Washington. Her mentor at Kamaikan was also Mr. Brandman, because he made an effort to know students more than any other teacher she'd experienced. At Juanita, she particularly liked the advanced placement English courses and Mr. Brin's leadership in the classroom. She tells me in that class she learns how to use her mind and be a great writer. She's involved in tennis and also Model United Nations, which is a super organization we have at Juanita. Congratulations. And Natasha Salaji. Congratulations. Natasha attended Ben Franklin Elementary and Kamaikan Junior High School afterward. She's hoping to major in elementary education and perhaps be a counselor or a therapist and attend Western Washington University after she graduates in June. At Kamaikan, she really enjoyed Miss Brazil, who took time to talk with students individually, get to know them personally, and made learning very interesting and very much fun. At Juanita, she really enjoys a choir and leadership class, both of which she's very involved in. In the life outside of school, if there is such a thing, she's involved in her church youth group, in doing much community service, and does musicals and plays with Studio East, right in Kirkland. Congratulations, Natasha. Rebecca Taylor, I don't think I saw Rebecca. Am I correct? Okay. Dawn Wyrichewski. Dawn, come on up, please. Dawn attended Benjamin Franklin Elementary and also EAS, which we just saw a great presentation on. Her intended major in college is the liberal arts, and not sure where it's going to go from there, which I think is smart to explore everything. She's hoping to attend either Western Washington University, perhaps Evergreen State College, maybe Whitman, maybe Linfield, or maybe Ben Franklin College in Switzerland. At EAS, she really enjoyed Mr. Townhauser and Miss McMacken, who we saw a little earlier, teaching language arts and social studies. And she told me that they made learning interesting, really related to students well, and it was obvious that they really liked and were inspired by what they taught. At Juanita, she really enjoyed being in Mr. Tower's AP language class and really enjoyed learning the way words and language work. She's also involved in our varsity swim team and in the Girl Scouts. Congratulations, Dawn. Okay, you guys can stay up there. I'd like to now introduce our 5 National Merit semifinalists, all of whom are here this evening. First, Alex Burt. Alexander, come on up. Stay right here. Okay. Alex attended Ben Franklin Elementary and Kamiakin Junior High School. He's hoping to major in business management and attend BYU after graduation in June. His Kamiakin person who really inspired him and made a difference was, again, Miss Brazil in humanities. Of course, our classroom had very creative projects where students were able to express who they really were. At Juanita, the Advanced Placement United States history classes was significant for him, and he enjoyed learning about the history of our nation and other nations, and also learning what has made our country what it currently is. He's also involved in Boy Scouts, his church youth group, and theater. He's one of the big theater guys at Juanita. Congratulations, Alex. Joseph Kickline. Joey, come on up. Joseph attended Ben Franklin Elementary and then Kamiakin Junior High School. His intended major is computer science and engineering, and he's hoping to attend the DigiPen Institute. They only take very few students, but I'm pretty sure he's going to get in. At Kamiakin, he loved the humanities, language arts, social studies from Mr. Conrick, because he was effective at teaching and making it engaging and fun. At Juanita, he takes a course at DigiPen now on video game programming with Mr. Walsh, which he says is just terrific for him. And he's already working at programming and designing video games. Congratulations, Joe. James Piper. James, can you come on up? James also attended Ben Franklin Elementary and then Kamiakin Junior High School. He's hoping to major in education and attend Yale University after he graduates from Juanita. At Kamiakin, he really enjoyed meeting and interacting every day with Mr. Connor because he was effective at teaching and just making learning fun. At Juanita, he's really enjoyed AP European History and the teacher of that course, Mr. Miller, and learning how the past has influenced and created the present. He's also involved in the martial arts and has already done and is planning to do additional mission trips. Congratulations. Then we have Dorothy Tsai. Dorothy? Dorothy attended Robert Frost Elementary and then Kamiakin Junior High School. She likes everything and is interested in everything and is not sure what she's going to major in, but she hopes to go to University of Washington or Pomona College. At Kamiakin, Ms. Todd in the humanities made a real difference because there were interesting projects, which made her a better writer. And at Juanita, she loved our Japanese program. I think you're in 4th year Japanese now. And that's something that's very special to her. And she's also involved in National Honor Society, in our Earth Corps, our environmental club, and also in the French club. So congratulations, Dorothy. And I don't see Anna here, but I think I missed Claudia. Claudia, can you come on up? I think I missed you. I'm so sorry. Which means your certificate is buried in this pile. So now Dr. Kimball's going to think I'm not organized, so I'm a little worried here. There we go, Claudia. Congratulations, Claudia. Okay, and let's see if I can find out what we wrote. Claudia also attended Ben Franklin Elementary and Kamiakin Junior High School. She'd like to major in law and become an attorney, and do so at the University of Washington. At Kamayakan, Ms. Brazil really made a significant difference because her teaching was innovative and her grading was innovative and different than other teachers. At Juanita, she's really enjoyed AP Literature with Mr. Brin because there were many opportunities for written expression. She's also involved in tennis, The Rebellion, which is our school newspaper, Senior Cabinet, and Model United Nations with Mr. Miller. So please congratulate all of our Juanita National Merit Scholars. Did I miss somebody? Who did I miss? Okay. Okay. So please congratulate Juanita. Congratulations. Okay. Can they sit down? They can sit down? Okay. Thank you, guys. And thank you, board members,
Thank
for
you,
supporting
Gary.
Juanita, too.
Yes.
And Cindy, I think you may have one more to introduce, so if you would not mind coming forward and introducing one more National Merit Scholar for us.
Cameron, come on up. So this is Cameron Boucard, and we're very proud to have him as an ICS student. The quietest student in the school, but also one of the nicest. He has been involved in orchestra for multiple years and performed in many functions as well as our graduations. He is also involved in Sammamish Symphony. He's been a basketball referee for the past 4 years, and he also volunteers in the Boys and Girls Clubs in our local cities. The colleges in which he's interested in are Wabash, Occidental, and Davidson, and his major interests are physics, engineering, and math. And I'd like to congratulate Cameron.
Well, and to all the students again, Juanita High School students, just a wonderful, wonderful to see all of you, and congratulations to all of you. And I know a lot of you have your parents here. If you parents kind of wave at us, see all of you that are here. Thank you very much. Takes a lot of support at home too, and we appreciate having families be able to join us too. So thank you so much.
I also would like to just congratulate each and every one of you. It is amazing the work that you are doing, and we have high expectations for how you're going to influence the world. So thank you again.
Yes. And best wishes to all of you in your future. And we have one more recognition.
Oh, yep. I'm sorry, my bad. We had a great event. And it's not very often that we get to tout to the fact that in Lake Washington School District, we got to set a Guinness World Record. And yes, and it was and I believe it was held at Redmond Junior High School. Is that right?
Juanita High School.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, Juanita High School. And so, please tell us about this record and what happened.
I will. My name is Kim Merkley. I am the District Instrumental Choral Music Coordinator. And on April 10th at Juanita High School in the Field House, we set a world record. And we wanted to present this plaque to the board and to the district. And on that event, you know, it came alive with my partner and colleague, Paula Ferguson. She's director of orchestras at Redmond High School and Redmond Junior High. And her idea was, and our idea collectively, was to bring district student musicians with the community, professionals, non-professionals, amateurs from as young as age 5 to 85, all together in one place playing music together. It was a great event. It was lots of fun. We could not have done it without the help of the Redmond Region Booster Orchestra Club, and the president is Mary Borgman, and they put tons and tons of time. As you can imagine, an event like this just really takes a lot of behind-the-scenes work, from logistics to making sure that students are safe, making sure that we follow all the Guinness World Book Record rules, which there are a lot of them. We made the achievement, and it was a lot of fun. We want to thank the board, and we want to thank our administrators in the district for the support of the orchestra program. About 15 years ago, we started with a few teachers and a few students, and now we have well over 1,000 orchestra students in our district. Our elementary programs almost every region has over 150 at the elementary level. We have an orchestra now at every junior high and every high school. We're competitive with all other districts in this region. We're going strong, and we hope to continue to do so. So thank you for your support. We couldn't have done it without support of our administrators, so we want to thank you all for that. Upcoming, we have lots of great concerts, and we'll hope you'll join us this year. Soon, on November 3rd at Redmond High School, we have our high school honor concert, and this is select musicians from all through our district. They are selected by their teachers, and it's orchestra, choir, and band. We hope you'll join us. We have lots of others, so look on the calendar. In February, we have elementary and junior high concerts as well. So thank you for your support, and we will give you this plaque to add to our district.
And can you tell us how many students played and the nature of this event?
Well, we were close to 400, officially 392.
Wow.
And, you know, we had part of what the Boosters Club needed to do, we had stewards that had to look at about 12 kids at a time, and there were all these rules. And so we had lots and lots of people there volunteering and helping with the event. So it was a great community event for us. So thank you very much.
Actually, sorry, can you just clarify, because I'm not necessarily orchestrally oriented, I'm more of a math guy, and I don't understand how a quartet had 392 people.
Well, it wasn't a quartet. It was violins, violas, cellos, and basses, and several of all of those. So there was a lot. It wasn't
Did you
actually a
set them
quartet.
up as individual
Well, the pockets of their
quartets,
ensemble.
or did you just
Okay.
have them play
We
all
played
together?
all together, and we played. We started with young pieces of Suzuki music, so we started with all the Twinkle variations, and then we played some Pachelbel Canon, and then we ended the night with Smoke on the Water with some electric violins and some other community events. So we had a wide range. You know, string musicians can play more than just classical, so we wanted to make sure we did it all. So it was fun.
Oh, great, great, wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
And certainly not a simple thing to put together. Our next order of business is public comment, and students, if you want to go ahead and head home to do your homework, it's certainly understood that that's something that needs to be done.
No one ever wants to stay for our meetings.
Well, they can go home and watch us on the internet now.
Ah.
They can't watch us on television tonight, but they can at their leisure, in their jammies and a cup of tea or whatever. Okay, I have several people signed up to speak this evening, and I just want to do our ground rules for public comment. We'll have folks that are going to speak come to the center microphone here and podium. If you would please state your name and tell us the attendance area of the district or where you are residing. And then we have 3 minutes for you to speak, and we have a timer for that, and it is over here to kind of keep an eye on. When it hits the yellow light means that you have about a minute, so you should be winding up your remarks, and then at the red, you'll hear a buzzer, and we would ask you to please stop. So with that in mind, the first person I have signed up is John Michael. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. My name is John Michael Monteith. I'm a parent of 3, one of which graduated from Juanita High School, and I've got 2 that are in Bell Elementary, and I live just a few blocks away from Bell, and you probably have seen me before. I wanted to first give congratulations to Mr. Principal Anderson and his crew over at Bell Elementary. One thing in particular, I don't know if you've heard of their Been Caught program that they've got with students, where they get caught for doing something good at the school and they get little awards for it, certificates for it. It's been outstanding, and if you haven't heard about it, I certainly would recommend you hear from Mr. Anderson and his group about it. It may be something you're doing elsewhere. Also wanted to say thank you for coming to, was it Eastlake, but certainly Juanita High School as well, for getting feedback on the levy and possible bond measure. And also thank you for considering the remodel of Juanita High School. I think that's very important. And I certainly want you to include parents and the community in whatever you decide, because I'm very excited about it. I wanted to say thank you to Principal Moed and Gloria as associate principal. They've been doing an outstanding job, and I appreciated the time they spent with me and allowing me to introduce them to the Bell community and the parents and the concerns of the group. A couple things I wanted to mention, the work groups that you have set up. I don't know if you plan on putting that on the Lake Washington School District website, but I'd sure appreciate it if you did so we could look up and see what's going on with those groups. It may already be there, but the last time I looked, I didn't see it. And I just want to say this. I know I've already mentioned it to Dr. Kimball, but I want to reinstate that I'm trying to work best I can with the City of Kirkland to get a sidewalk on Juanita Drive. I'm not sure if you're aware of the location there, but Juanita Drive is the main strip between Finn Hill and the Bell community, and we're now planning on feeding Bell into Finn Hill Middle School. And that does not have a sidewalk, and I've seen kids walking along that road. And it's not just during school time, it's after school. We're going to be creating relationships there. Very concerned about that. So I'm personally taking upon myself to address that. Anything you can do to assist me with that, I'd really appreciate it. And my email address is on that form that I signed up. But thank you very much for all your work. And thank you, Chris, for coming and visiting Bell recently. Thank you.
Would you, just out of curiosity, knowing the area, since I live at the bottom of Finn Hill, could you just send me where the sidewalk that you're talking about, or the area that you're looking at for the sidewalk?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Email it to you?
Yes, would
Yeah.
you please? Yeah. And then I can also look and see what we can do with City Council.
Happy to do that. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see Cheryl. Is Cheryl here? There she, oh, you're hiding. You're hiding. Cheryl Lewis.
That's a short person.
Yes, I kept looking for you and looking for you, and there you be.
Hi, good evening. My name is Cheryl Lewis, and I am the president of the PTSA Council. And I just want to say, listening to all the kids speak and the teachers speak so highly of them, this just shows that PTSA has so much work to do as far as advocacy for education of the kids. We really got to keep things going. I just wanted to just touch real base. What I was handing out to you is that a few of us this past weekend spent Friday and Saturday at Legislative Assembly, this is for our state PTA, to go over the initiatives, our platform that we're going to be going to Olympia in January. And so we just want to touch base with you that this is what we voted on to go forward. And I'll just kind of read them off real fast. We actually ended up with 6. Usually we just do 5. But the last 2, Fund Education First and New Model for Teacher, they were so close together that everybody kind of agreed to add that one as the 6th one. Not that the other issues won't still be worked on if legislation comes up there, but these are the ones that we really want to focus on, which would be the follow-up on education reform efforts, the math and science education, the literacy instruction, the teacher reduction force or the RIF policies, the Fund Education First, and the new model for teacher compensation. And I think the only thing, there were other issues on there, as I stated, the safe storage and disposal of prescription drugs and standardized school zone signage were both voted off of the platform, but they'll probably still be worked if something comes up, as I said. And we also had about a 30-minute presentation with Mr. Bill Gates Sr., presentation on the Initiative 1098, which, as you well know, probably the Washington State PTSA Board is supporting. And his whole presentation, I think, is available on the PTSA website at the state under advocacy. And I got to tell you on a side note, it was just wonderful to listen to him talk. It's like I'd like to adopt him as my grandpa. And on the national level, the National PTA is working with the Congress on the NCLB and the IDEA legislation on each of these that are up for renewal. And an exciting thing is that Shelley Kloba, our wonderful dear lady that has worked so hard on behalf of council and in her local schools, received the Washington State Outstanding Advocate Award for this year. And Wendy and Heather Gillette that are here were able to pull that off as a surprise. Her family came down. She had no idea that they were there. So that was a lot of fun to surprise her with that in front of everybody. And just to remind you, I don't know if a lot of you, I'm sure you probably do know, that tomorrow night, Wilder Elementary, PTSA, they are holding a candidate forum for the District of 45. And Linda Hansen, our former PTA state president, is going to be the moderator there. So we just wanted to kind of give you what's happening with us. And Dr. Kimball, I also wanted to say thank you again for the council meeting last Thursday and clarifying a lot of the issues with the levy. I think everybody came away feeling a little bit better about it. So I just wanted to thank you again for that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl, very much. And I'm so excited about Shelley. That just is really wonderful. And we're also fortunate to have her be part of the foundation board. She's a board member on the foundation and on our Citizens Levy Committee. So she's an advocate in a variety of ways, and we're delighted. And I'm glad it went off with a surprise. I have Heather Gillette.
So my name is Heather Gillette, and I am here as a member of the Washington State PTA Board of Directors, holding the position of Region 2 Director. Region 2 encompasses the school districts of Issaquah, Bellevue, Mercer Island, Lake Washington, Snoqualmie Valley, and Riverview. My job as director is to train, support, and communicate with the local PTA units within the region and to seek partnerships with other organizations within our area. I come to you tonight to present two pieces of information. We have, first, we have a very strong PTA voice in Region 2 with about 1/3 of the state membership residing within our boundaries. It's about 50,000 members. And just for your information, Lake Washington has about 10% of the state PTA members. As school board members representing the community, I would like to present an opportunity for you to support all the local units in your district through one membership option. The Washington State PTA has developed a Friends of the PTA membership that allows you to join at the level you feel comfortable with. I have attached a brochure for you to review and consider. The next thing I would like to talk about is that the Washington State PTA has joined the National PTA's effort to support the adoption of Common Core state standards. As education reform has evolved over the past 20 years, Washington State PTA has participated as a full partner in the process. Beginning in the early 1990s, our state developed and implemented state-level academic standards to increase program consistency for kids, teachers, and parents across the state. Along the way, Washington State PTA provided information and support to our members about these efforts. As our nation and world have become more interconnected, governors across the country became interested in developing standards that were consistent state to state. They began meeting to address this issue and now have published Common Core standards for language arts and math. Washington State PTA has decided to take a leadership role in support of this effort, advocating for strong standards that are consistent from state to state so all kids in this country are receiving the same high-quality education they need to succeed and compete in a global economy. The National PTA has supported the concept of one set of standards for the country for a number of years. Through a generous grant provided by the Gates Foundation, National PTA is working with state PTAs to inform members about the standards and at the same time strengthen the state association's advocacy capacity. A total of 8 states, including Washington, were chosen by National PTA to receive sub-grants to educate the public about the benefits of Common Core standards. Washington State PTA has appointed a Common Core State Standards Initiative Committee led by former Washington State PTA President Linda Hansen to educate our members about what the CCSSI will mean for children. More information about Common Core standards can be found on the OSP website. And I'd just like to thank you for letting me share this information with you tonight. And it's great to know that we have a partner in our school boards, knowing that we're all working towards making things better for kids. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Okay. And the next person I have is Bob Yoder.
Thank you, President Pendergast. Bob Yoder, and I'm in Ravi's District 5, Education Hill area. Nice to be here, and I have to say I have a real sweet spot for Lake Washington School District. Of the various governments that I keep an eye on. And I say that because I was just talking to my daughter Lexi, who graduated. She went K through 12 through the system, and it was a life that we'll never forget and always remember and love. And I asked Lexi, she went to college, she got a merit scholarship, and I asked her, how were her teachers there at college? Are they good? She said, well, I like my high school teachers more. So anyway, I think that says a lot about the system. And like I said, I have a real sweet spot for Lake Washington School District. And I hope that with all the competition that's out there for our tax dollars, that the district gets the most attention. And I want to back that up with some things I've learned here. The city of Redmond, the mayor just proposed his biennium budget, and he's going to go for the automatic 1% increase on property taxes. They did it 2 years ago. They want to do it. They'll probably do it again this year. Also, they're building a firehouse, and there's going to be a utility tax that will be 11% in 2011 and 2% thereafter, $2.2 million. Water tax, there's going to be some taxes there and some competition for taxpayers' dollars. Also the hospital, Evergreen Hospital is a public hospital. I think we're paying about $155 a year. Each voter is paying $155 on the average. There's 155,154 voters. That includes the excise property and the regular property tax. Hopefully, 3 out of the 4 council members 2 years ago, I'm getting slow on time. I'd like to submit, so good luck on that, and we support it. On the busing issue, Susan Wilcox had brought this up before, and she brought it up again, I think, to be heard. And I wanted to present this because my time is running out, but basically if you can get horseman serviced along the Avondale intersection where there's no crosswalks and kids have to walk and there already is a bus going there through Einstein, can you pick them up on the way, to and from Einstein? The money, it wouldn't be a money issue. And then the last, can I finish? You'll want to hear what I say, Jackie.
Finish your last sentence.
President Pendergast and Doug Eglinton, thank you for going to the input sessions for the overcrowding. I really appreciate that. I know that your constituents do, and we look forward to Mr. Carlson, Mrs. Bernard, and Ravi Shahani to do the same as time goes on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you want to say anything? Okay. All right. Our next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I should have done this. I usually do, and my mind is obviously not functioning. Yes, if you would tell us who you are and where you are from and what you'd like to speak to us about.
My name is Jill Stoddart. I've corresponded the last month by email with Ravi and Dr. Kimball, and thank you very much for returning my emails. I have a daughter at Rockwell Elementary on Education Hill, and have one that will be hopefully starting at Rockwell next year. I really appreciate how much, I think, courage you guys took by dealing with some of the overcrowding issues with the new feeder patterns and moving out 6th grade, and glad that we're addressing the levy issue and trying to deal with that issue long term. So kudos to you there. I'm really, really concerned about our kids this year and next year. I was read in horror that Rosa Parks, I'm sorry I didn't check the facts. I read in the paper that they're at 700 kids. I sat there at our school, at our PTA board meeting this summer, and my jaw dropped when I heard that we were going from 600 to 550 to 610 kids at Rockwell Elementary this year. When I purchased my home here 3.5 years ago, and I did all my comparisons, Rockwell was at 480. It's now at 610. And I said to my fellow board members, do you want to be sitting here next August and have your jaw drop when we're at 700? And I kind of thought to myself, well, that's exaggerating. That they'd never let that happen. And then I read, oh no, it's already happening at a new school. So I'd like you to very much consider what we can do next year for overcrowding at some of these emergency schools. I'd like to propose a few ideas. One is we move sixth graders out of Rockwell beginning next year. They're already going to be moving on. Let's open up that space. Second idea, I've also read, I think in one of the things on overcrowding, that one option for schools like Rockwell would be to not run full-time, full-day kindergarten. I ask if that is a decision you have to make, that you make that decision before the lottery happens, so that Rockwell parents have an opportunity, equal opportunity to be in the lotto for full-day kindergarten at any other kindergarten that's offering it in the district. I think that's only fair that our children not be penalized for our overcrowding. Finally, any other ideas? I think one other thing is when we found out about the portables at Rockwell this year, it was something that, again, I wasn't as involved last year in the PTA, but I didn't see anything, much communication regarding what choices we were facing and getting that parent input. So my ask is that the school board requires that we are actively pursuing a solution for next year as well, and getting input from the families on how we're going to deal with this and communicate with us earlier in the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else in the audience would like to come forward? Okay. Okay. Now, on to consent agenda.
I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And Chip, would you poll the board, please?
Chris? Yes. Nancy?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
Doug? Yes. Ravi? Yes. And under tab 8 in the consent agenda, we have $6,430.88 in donations. We have a donation for $4,430 from Rosa Parks PTSA to Rosa Parks Elementary to paint the portables out there. And we have a $2,000 donation from Keller PTSA to Keller Elementary School to support their physical education program, counselors, reading specialists, and special education programs. Again, for a total of $6,430. And we continue to be appreciative of our community and their donations.
Okay, and now to our non-consent agenda.
Great. Catherine, would you mind bringing up the slide presentation? Tonight, I'd like to present to the board the input that we've been collecting over the last 3 or 4 weeks around dealing with what our public comment was about, which was overcrowding. As you know, we have an overcrowding problem in the district, and as a set for that, we have 600 more students this year than we had a year ago, about 400 more than we expected, and we are expecting 500 more students per year every year for the next 5 years. And as a result of that growth, we need to prepare for that by making sure that we have spots for these students. A mechanism for us to deal with this overcrowding is partly going to be solved by moving to four-year high schools, because currently we are out of space in our elementary schools across the system with overcrowding, primarily in the eastern portion of the district, but also in crowding in Kirkland as well. And we have space in our high schools. And so one of the things that we will be doing is moving to four-year high schools, where we move the sixth graders into middle schools, the ninth graders into high schools, and that will help us solve some of those overcrowding issues. But it won't entirely solve that issue. And we've often been asked, well, how come you weren't planning for this beforehand? And what is interesting is we were. And in February of 2010, as you know, we had a bond on the ballot, and that bond failed. We had 56% positive vote, and you need 60% in order to pass a bond measure. And as a result, we were not granted the authority to ask to fund buildings, which would have begun to resolve this issue. So after thinking about that problem, the overcrowding, of course, didn't go away, and actually was exacerbated this year by more students than we anticipated. And so we started talking to the community about, well, what do we do? And started describing some of the consequences of what could happen if we don't do anything, such as eliminating all-day kindergarten, such as transporting students over long distances, such as eliminating programs such as music and PE and art rooms and computer labs, et cetera, and even as dramatic as doing double shifting in high schools, which means that half of the students would go to the school for the first part of the day from 6:30 in the morning to around 1 o'clock, and then the other half of the students would go to school from like 1:30 in the afternoon until 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And of course, there are all kinds of ramifications if that happens. And across the board, parents don't like it, teachers don't like it, you don't like it, and I don't like it. So the question then becomes, what do? We are in one of the most difficult economic times that our country has ever seen, and yet, at the same time, we have growth issues. And so we certainly needed to rethink the approach that we took. Last February, we put a $256 million bond measure on the ballot, which included dealing with these growth issues, both by expanding Redmond High School and Eastlake High School, by building a choice school, by building 2 elementary schools over time, and then also modernizing Juanita High School. There are multiple things that were in that bond measure, and so we needed to understand what it was that voters really wanted in light of the failure of that bond. So we did a post-election survey, and in that post-election survey, we asked the question, what was the impetus for your vote? And what we learned was that it was primarily the economy. It was primarily our voters saying, we believe in the district, we think you're doing good work, we just think it was too much money right now. And so we paid attention to that because we need to, because our voters sent us a very clear message. So as we contemplated what we then do, we needed to begin asking the question of our community pretty specifically, okay, if it was too much right now, then what should we do? In light of the fact that if we do nothing, we will have these pretty significant consequences. So we need to ask for something if we're not going to have these consequences. So we have conducted a series of community meetings. There were 3 in-person meetings, one at Juanita High School, one at Eastlake High School, one at the Resource Center. And across those 3 meetings, we had a total of just under 300 people attend those meetings. In addition to that, we had over 700 people respond to an online survey of our community members as well, responding to what should we do in light of the economic conditions and in light of our space needs. But we need to do a little bit more than that, because we know that people who come to our meetings are people who really care about schools. And we also know that about 30% of the people in our community that vote have kids in schools. So we also wanted to ask the voting public in a random sample, what do they think about the same issue, which ultimately will shape the recommendation that I'm going to provide for you and ultimately your direction as it relates to a possible measure in February. So I want to share a little bit about what the results of those surveys look like, and also provide a recommendation for you tonight in terms of what I think we should consider for February. One other thing about the meeting that I did want to note, having nearly 300 people attend a public meeting is a pretty substantial amount of people. I do appreciate board members that came to attend those meetings. And one of the format changes that we made was, as opposed to having a presentation and then people just fill out a form, we had a series of boards that explained the issue, and it was more of a situation where people could come in, understand the information, have a dialogue with staff or myself or board members, and then try and deeply understand the issues and then give us their input. And we thought it worked pretty well. So let me give you a sense of what we've heard from our community. Now, keep in mind that this is the community survey that is either in-person meetings or on the web. So, Catherine, could you move forward? So, again, 182 responses for the in-person input sessions, 878 for the web survey, for a total of just over 1,000 responses. Catherine? So the first question was, the district should not ask for the voters for any funds regardless of the consequences. And 67% strongly disagreed and 19% somewhat disagreed. So we have a pretty good consensus among our constituency that says we are not anti-tax, that says regardless of the consequences, don't ask for anything. Go ahead, Catherine. But we needed to go a little bit deeper and saying the district should ask voters only for those funds that are necessary to deal with immediate overcrowding. And when we talk about immediate overcrowding, we're talking about this problem that exists right now until about 2014. When we make the move in 2012, we will solve an elementary problem which exists in about 21 elementary schools, and we will solve that temporarily, but we will create a high school problem in 2 of our high schools. Midterm solves is 2014 to 2015, where we think that we're going to continue to have an elementary problem that we're going to have to solve. So, in dealing with only the immediate overcrowding, about 60% of our voters disagree or somewhat disagree that we should only ask for those funds that deal with immediate overcrowding. Go ahead, Catherine. So the next question was, we should ask the voters for those funds necessary to deal with expected overcrowding projected to occur over the next 5 years. So as opposed to right now, should we be asking for funds that will help us over the next 5 years? And again, we've got 58% strongly agree and just under 30% somewhat agree. So we have a significant number of our constituencies that are saying not only is it okay to ask for funds to help solve this problem, but it is okay to ask for funds to solve this problem in the immediate and midterm. Okay, go ahead, Catherine. So we asked the question, we're considering 3 possible levy proposals. Proposal 1 was portables only at Redmond High School and Eastlake High School to deal with that problem that will be created in the fall of 2012. And that is the least expensive option, about $10 million, which will cost the typical taxpayer, $500,000 house, $20 a year for 6 years. The second option that we provided was to build some permanent capacity, including what we call core facilities, so expansion of the gym, expansion of the cafeteria, et cetera, and some portables at those schools. And again, this is an immediate option, but it puts in place some more permanent capacity in those schools. And that cost would be approximately $40 million, or about $90 per year for the average taxpayer for 6 years, and then it ends. And the third option we provided was to do that permanent capacity at those 2 schools, but then also build a choice school, and specifically a STEM choice school, in the community in order to keep the population at those high schools below 2,000 and also to deal with this upcoming middle school overpopulation at Evergreen specifically that we know is coming down the pike. And that option would cost the taxpayers about $140 per year for 6 years and would be about $65 million. So those were the 3 options that we scoped. 45% of our respondents said do the most expensive option, do this short-term and midterm problem, build permanent capacity, and make sure our high schools stay below 2,000. About 35% of our folks said Don't mess with building a choice school, a STEM school. What we want is to deal with the situation at Redmond High School and Eastlake High School, build capacity, and we know that that will bump us up around 2,000 or possibly over. And then again, 12.5% thought that we should do the cheap option with portables and just get this problem solved as cheaply as possible. Okay, go ahead, Catherine. We also asked the question, should we put an additional ballot measure on to a bond measure specifically to deal with the elementary problem? So let me give you a context for this part of the problem. Right now, once we move to four-year high schools and we move the sixth graders out of the elementary schools, we create a temporary reprieve of the elementary space issues. So currently we have 21 elementary schools that are considered overcrowded, and that will be reduced dramatically, but it will not solve the problem permanently. We have elementary capacity around the district that we will be able to move kids around in order to solve that problem until about 2014. In order to solve that problem until about 2014, we're going to have to move students. But we have the space. The other thing that's funny about this is that, not funny ha-ha, but funny interesting, is that once you start adding dollars to the package, you at some point have to make a decision between doing a levy, which is 50% simple majority to pass, and the money that we bring it in and we spend it. There's no interest that we pay on a levy. A bond, on the other hand, is like a mortgage. You can get more for a smaller amount per year, but you spend that dollar amount per year over a longer term, typically 20 to 30 years, depending upon the nature of the financing at the time. So there's a break point at which we are kind of forced into doing a bond because it's just too much money in too short of a term. So the question was asked, this is a midterm problem. Do we go ahead and add a bond in addition to a levy and try and solve this elementary school problem, knowing that we're going to need an elementary school 14, 15, 15, 16, somewhere in that time frame. 57% of our community, meaning the community that either came to the meeting or did the web survey, said yes, and 42% said no. Well, while we're asking that question, we asked the same question about Juanita High School. Go ahead, Catherine. And should we go ahead and do a bond measure to modernize Juanita High School, knowing that the impetus for this is that Juanita High School, after Lake Washington High School is complete, will have the poorest conditioned facilities of the high school facilities in the district. It was built in 1971. It's 40 years old at this point. Eastlake High School was built in 1993. Redmond High School was rebuilt in 2005. And Lake Washington High School will be complete in 2011. So there's an inequity of high school facilities in the district. So it's a priority for us to create an equitable high school facility at Juanita at some point in the future. But 69% of our mostly parents said, no, not right now. Not that it's not important, but it's a lot of money right now. It's about $135 to $140 million project. Go ahead. So who are these people that responded to this? 90% of these people were parents. 21% were community members. There were some crossover there. We, of course, are wondering who the 1.8% are that said they were other, but that'll be a conversation for another day. So in this set of data, about 1,000 respondents, what we heard from folks is solve the overcrowding, solve the short and midterm problem, don't solve the Juanita High School problem, and contemplate doing an elementary bond measure. Okay, go ahead, Catherine. So we also did this random sample phone survey. And this random sample, we asked voters across the system, again, not people who had a particular interest in schools. These were people that were randomly called. The number of people that was called that we actually connected with and answered the phone and answered the questions was just over 300 people. So this is preliminary data at this point. And this is also interesting data. So from our community, this is the random sample community, we asked, do not ask for additional funding from voters, and go ahead and eliminate classrooms for music and computers. And we had almost 70% of our folks disagreed with that. They said, do not eliminate classrooms for music and computers. Go ahead and ask us for more money. On the next one down, which is bus students from overcrowded schools to less crowded schools, regardless of the distance or bus time, to solve this problem. We had about 40% strongly disagreed with that. So that one, of course, was a little bit more variable. The next one was do not ask for funding from voters and double shift high schools. And we had about 45%, it looks like, that strongly disagreed with that, and under 20% somewhat disagreed. And then the last one says, do not ask for funding from voters and eliminate all-day kindergarten and use half-day format. And in this case, we had about 38% that strongly disagreed with killing all-day kindergarten, essentially. That one probably received the most support in terms of a solution for dealing with overcrowding. But what was clear here is that our community at large also was not willing to deal with the consequences of the overcrowding problem in lieu of asking for additional funding. Go ahead, Catherine. So we asked about the options being considered. So the first option was ask voters to approve funding measure to buy portable classrooms. Again, this is the cheapest option, portable classrooms. And we had strong agreement, yet this would be okay, 47%. When we asked the question about remodeling or replacing Juanita High School, interestingly enough, we had, in the previous one it was 47 and 23, so it was actually about 70% were agree or somewhat agree. So very strong support for putting portables to relieve overcrowding short term. Around the Juanita High School issue, we had 64% either agree or strongly agree that we should ask the voters to approve a funding measure to remodel or replace Juanita High, which was interesting because that was in contrast to the parent data that we received through the online survey and the site visits, or the open meetings. When we asked voters about 2 elementary schools to deal with overcrowding over the next 5 years, we had 68% that said yes to agree or strongly agree to that particular measure. And when we asked about funding to build additional permanent classrooms but focus on the immediate needs of the high schools, we had 74% that would agree or strongly agree with that statement. Again, this is a short-term issue, but to do it with permanent classrooms. Go ahead, Catherine. Now, what's interesting is the contrast between what our community says are the solutions to the problem, which we have large levels of support, and what people are willing to pay for. So of the 3 options, the cheapest option, we have 68% are in favor or somewhat in favor. The medium option, which was the $90 per year for 6 years option, we have 62% that are in favor or strongly in favor. And in the more expensive option, which is $140 a year for 6 years, we only had 39% that were strongly in favor or in favor. So we're sensing here either a tax sensitivity issue, or we're sensing an issue around the choice school, but also knowing that in both instances they're complex issues. The complexity around the money is connected to comparison to what we asked for before, a levy versus a bond, how it impacts your tax rate, and the term of that. The complexity around the choice school is that we were not clear about what the choice school would be, and we're proposing a STEM school, which I think has a different level of affect for our community. I'm sorry, thank you, Nancy. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We also were not, I think, abundantly clear that by building that, it actually aligns itself to this other priority that we found in the data, which is keeping our high schools below 2,000. So it's a little bit of a chicken and egg. But even so, we're sensing a tax sensitivity at this particular point in the data. Go ahead. So here we ask the question again: should the district should not ask voters for any funds regardless of consequences, and we have 58% of the respondents strongly disagree with that statement. So we're essentially being given permission by the community based upon this data set to ask the district for, ask the community for money in order to deal with overcrowding. The question then is how much? So when we ask the question, the district should ask voters only for those funds that are necessary to deal with the immediate overcrowding, we have 58% of our community that say that they agree or strongly agree with that statement. So don't over-ask. Don't do something that is beyond the scope of dealing with this immediate problem. Go ahead, Catherine. When we ask about high school size, we found that over 50% of our respondents, and this is in the random sample, this is not from our parent survey, believe that we should make decisions that keep the high school student population below 2,000 students. Less than 30% believe that we should make decisions even if it results in the student population exceeding 2,000 students. So this is an important factor as we consider what it is that we should do. Go ahead, Catherine. So here's what we learned from this data. There is strong support from the community and our parents to address short-term overcrowding. I think that that's very clear in the data. There is little support for alternatives such as double shifting, excessive busing, loss of space for programs. I also think, and I didn't put this in this particular slide that I want to make sure, we also have strong support from our community and from our parents to try and keep the high school size below 2,000 students if at all possible. We also found an interesting dichotomy that there's low parent support for Juanita High School modernization, but high community support. That was an interesting dichotomy in the data. And there's low community support for the choice school, but high parent support. And again, a dichotomy in the data. Also understanding that the choice school connection to this 2,000 student, it was not explicit in the data. We also found that there's some support for midterm issues around elementary capacity, both in the parent data as well as in the community data. So then the question remains, what do we do? So before I go to the slide around what my recommendation is, here are the things that I think as a school system we need to be sensitive to. The first thing we need to look to is what happened in February. In February, we passed two levies with the great support of our community, and we failed a bond. We failed that bond with 56% majority voters voting in favor of that bond. That bond was for $256 million at approximately 31 cents per thousand, which would have been the tax rate that would have been impacted as a result of that bond. Even though it was a failed bond, we feel like we had a large support of our community for that measure at $256 million. We heard loud and clear, though, not so much, not right now. So here's the conclusions that I came to. We have to deal with this immediate problem. Our taxpayers are willing to pay, but they want to know that we are doing it as efficiently and as frugally as possible. But they also don't want us to be penny wise and pound foolish. They don't want us to throw money after portables because that's not typically good for kids. They don't want us to build mega high schools because that's typically not good for kids. And they want us to not do it in such a way that it is an enormous burden on the taxpayer. So my recommendation for the board to contemplate is the following. I propose that in February of 2011, we run a 6-year levy for permanent additions and portables at Redmond High School and Eastlake High Schools. And we build a STEM-based school for 612 students, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in the eastern portion of the district. This accomplishes a few things for us. Number one, and all of this would be completed by the fall of 2012. Number one, it addresses our immediate overcrowding problems at those 2 high schools such that we would not be required to double shift. Number two, it does it with permanent classroom capacity, which is in the best long-term interest of the district, and it would address core facility issues such as cafeteria size, gym size, et cetera, to deal with those students in those schools. Thirdly, it will give us the ability to keep those schools below 2,000 students by creating a 612 STEM-based school. Fourthly, it is consistent with the programmatic agenda that we are trying to accomplish in this district, whereby we give students choices, families choices, as evidenced tonight by both International Community School and Environmental Adventure School, who are here tonight. It also allows us to stay with where our state and national and community agenda is around science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And by creating a STEM school in the district, we're able to use that as a place where we can incubate ideas and best practices around science, technology, engineering, and mathematics that we can then propagate and spread to all of the secondary schools inside the system. I propose that we do this, which is significantly less than what we proposed in February. Nearly $200 million, $190 million less money than we proposed a year ago. Because it's a levy, which means the money is not financed, which is better for the long-term interests of the district in terms of interest payments. It would be a $65.4 million measure, approximately 31 cents per thousand, which would be about $155 per year for a $500,000 home. We, of course, would need 50% simple majority in order to pass this measure. I believe that with the support of our PTSAs, of our Citizens Levy Committee, and the community that we got the feedback from in the last month, I believe that we have ample support in order to support this type of a measure for February.
Okay, and just so everybody's clear of what the is here, this is not a resolution that we will be voting on tonight, but it would be an approval or not of the recommendation that Dr. Kimball is making. If it's approved, then there is legal process that has to go through for getting the exact wording and documents for the actual resolution. So this is what we're talking about tonight, is looking at and listening to, listen to the recommendation, and then have some discussion, and then a decision if we want to approve or not the recommendation.
Yep.
So where are we, folks?
So I wanted to explore the Juanita High School renovation. As John Michael mentioned, there's some enthusiasm in that community for the renovation. And in looking through the data that you provided during the work session, it looks like when you asked the community, the question of how much does it cost and should we do it was decoupled. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you asked the parents, it was there. So the parents were saying, oh, well, can I afford this and that they were worried about over asking, as opposed to in the community it was, should we renovate the high school? And people do perceive it. So the big question I wanted to ask is, well, there are two pieces to it. The first is, so fundamentally our fear is that if we put a bond for Juanita on there, that it might take down the levy, that it's an over ask. And then the second piece is, if we don't put a bond on now, when would we expect the bond to run for Juanita?
Yeah. That's a great question. I do think that that is the fear. If what we end up with is two measures on the ballot, and what our community has said to us is, we support you, but be conservative. The question is, if we put two measures on the ballot, is that being conservative? And if the answer to that question is no, then are we engendering the kind of trust that we need in order for our community to continue to fund the kinds of things that we ask them to fund? The second question that's often asked about Juanita High School is, while it is not the same level of facility as the other three high schools, are kids getting an adequate education? Well, I think by virtue of what you saw tonight around National Merit Scholar, the numbers, and if you look at their test scores and you look at the achievement that's happening in that school, they absolutely are. Would I prefer to have different facilities? Yes. Have our teachers done an amazing job of making do and finding ways to make sure that those students get amazing education anyway? Yes. So then the question becomes, when would they be up then for a modernization? Our schedule, so assuming that we stay with our modernization schedule, our board in 1998 adopted a 4-phase modernization program where we would essentially modernize every school in the district, including those that had just been built on a 40-year schedule. Phase 3 of that modernization program, we would take the voters in February of 2014, again, assuming that the board continues to support that and the community supports that methodology, and we would begin executing that plan in 2014. What that means, practically speaking, is it takes about 5 years to do a high school. So if the starting gun were shot from the February of 2014, it would be about 2019. If the board authorized us to begin doing some pre-work before the bond in 2014, the earliest we could construct that school would be the fall of 2018. But that's the time frame that we're looking at. It's a ways away, but A, can they manage it with what we got? Yes. Secondly, we can put some capital improvements into that building over time to make sure that they continue to make it to that time frame. And thirdly, they have the space today that they need to accommodate the ninth graders in the feeder pattern.
I guess my question is a process one. I don't want to get sideways, in terms of that piece. And so I'm comfortable giving you direction to prepare a resolution to bring before us before the deadline for getting this on the ballot. But I think we've got to be careful about couching it in terms of preparing the formal document or formal resolution that needs to come before the council or the board, and then I think there has to be a public hearing at that time.
No.
No.
Before we approve something for the ballot?
No.
Okay.
No, Janine's shaking her head
Okay.
no.
Well, then I'm comfortable in giving you direction to prepare that resolution at this level. And in fact, I'd be happy to make a motion to do that, and so that we can have, the formal resolution before us before the ballot deadline. So I'll make that motion.
I have a motion and a second, that we can continue discussion. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Okay, Robbie, second. Further discussion? I'm going to jump in with the STEM piece and the piece with the choice school. I know that for many people during the public meetings and possibly the folks that were on the telephone, it was a pretty broad category when you hear the word choice school, not really knowing what that meant. And so I think having the clarity of what direction that program that would be there would go in, and the importance of it for two reasons. One, it does address the space issue, because it does continue to draw down off the too crowded schools, that even though you put capacity in, you still have the bodies. And so if you can reduce the students and bring the numbers down and keep them well under the 2,000, that would be advantageous to the students that attend those schools. So I think that's a very good piece there. The other is that we've already had some Microsoft money come through from the foundation to support STEM in the district, and that looks to be an area that we may be able to get more in the future, and if not then, there are lots of, in this current climate, there are a number of opportunities for grants to support STEM from other places, and I know the foundation is looking into doing that and be a supporter in that. So it makes sense programmatically to be working in an area that right now is important for our students and to be competitive in the economy in the future. So I think that having that around that space for the 612 students that you're talking about will be easier with the voters than it was in February when we brought it up, and I think even in our discussions that we've had currently with them.
Yeah, I think the space is a key. I mean, on the one hand, it's a little strange that here we have Juanita High School that, ever since I came on the board, people have been telling me in what bad condition it is, which I found strange since it hadn't been built that long ago at the time. But and here we would have a brand spanking new STEM school, right? Which, on the one hand, I think it would be great to have. I've always wanted a STEM school here, but it sounds kind of, luxurious in contrast. But really, the key is that it's solving the space problem, right? And it just happens that we can, move in a direction we've wanted to move in anyway while solving that problem.
Yeah.
I find that the feedback is, we had a discussion on this in the work session. It's difficult to, there's some kind of mixed messages. Some of it is pretty clear, and some of it, you can kind of go around and around, right, trying to make sense of it. And obviously in these times, it's important that we got a message from the voters, and we need to take that to heart, right? That this is a time to do what's necessary, right? And I think this does that without being foolish, right? If you compare this to the bond measure, the dollar amounts that voters would pay work out similarly. The pass rate of the bond would have passed were it a levy. I think that, and the need is even more acute now than it was then. And I mean, we heard the Rockwell parent who came and spoke to us. She's not the only one who's feeling it in the district now. So I think that if the community isn't already, those who aren't already, many more are aware, and others will become aware, right, from hearing from their neighbors about the problems that we're having with space. So I think this is the right call. It targets the problems that we're having without being so short-sighted, like building a sea of portables as to be foolish.
Yeah. I did want to also make a comment that, because somebody may ask, well, so the amount of money that we're spending on the STEM facility versus the Juanita High School facility. So when we scoped the Juanita High School rebuild, it was scoped at $135 million, and the STEM facility is scoped at $25 million. And part of that is because we'd be using modular construction, and which allows us to ramp up very quickly and also allows us to do it cheaper, and of course it's smaller. And of course that facility also is in the part of the district where we've got the most pressure from a population standpoint. So again, I do think that we're trying our best to be fiscally frugal in this particular environment.
Nancy.
Okay. Well, as you all are aware, this is very difficult. It's difficult decisions. difficult to predict what our voters will really do, although the input that we've had has been wonderful to have over 1,000 people respond to the survey plus the community. And we always have to balance the two because the majority of our voters are not parents in our district. But it is good to know that they appreciate the value of permanent buildings versus portables, because I have my own personal bias against portables if we can do without them. I work in school facilities and construction. So I'm very familiar with the pros and cons. I think this has come up with the best we can do. I'm nervous because it is a higher amount and the economy is not doing well. But because I think that the surveys have shown a real clear preference for more permanent. If we're going to spend the money, let's do it on more permanent solutions than temporary solutions, which I wholeheartedly support. And the STEM school in that view is not a luxury. It's true, as Ravi said, since he got on the board, he's been advocating for a STEM school. Chris is a strong proponent. I think we all are. And science and math have always been a focus for me. And we need the space. So, we want to go ahead with this. It is the right time nationally. There will possibly be federal monies to support it. There's a huge need. I think our community understands that and knows that. And the fact that it is modular, that's the plan, and we already have land available, makes it a more reasonable solution. And those of you who might worry that modular is another word for portables, it really isn't. The modular school construction industry is very, very different from portables. And I just think, as much as I would love to see Juanita High School have started, I wish the bond had passed. Yeah. Jackie and I, both our kids went through Juanita. That is a major, major project, and I think we're just going to have to wait until the economy recovers, because that will be a full high school. And, the district has been able to put some resources into the heating and ventilation system to overcome the serious deficits in the design, which of course was before all of our time. And the staff is absolutely wonderful and phenomenal, and the number of kids tonight was just incredible. It is a wonderful high school, and anybody wants to talk to me privately about it, you can have your ear bended for a very long time. So I think that Chip has come up with the best out of the best we can do in a very uncertain time for our community. And I really appreciate the strong support that was shown in those surveys for not just sitting back and doing nothing. And I have to admit, double shifting at high schools to me seems like a nightmare. Okay. So I would love to avoid that scenario.
Me too.
And I also would like to assure the public that in both work sessions, what you've heard here, the Citizens Levy Committee at its meetings, and we've had a number of those folks visiting PTAs this last month, and will continue to go out to share the issues around overcrowding, but also about the measures that we've all been hearing and paying attention closely to the economy and what voters might and might not do, but also trying to be aware of not trying to burden our taxpayers. We understand that. And certainly if we didn't have the issues of overcrowding, this would be a moot point. But we do have students coming to us. They need to be in school, and it would be nice to have them in places where they're not crowded and more comfortable. That doesn't mean that they're not going to get a good education one way or the other, because that continues regardless of the facility and where they are. But we have really spent a lot of time talking about what we feel the public might be able to handle in the way of a levy or a bond. And it has been this has been a very tough decision, I think, for all of us to even think about coming again to the voters in February after doing it this last February. But the issues are here, they're real, and they're important that we do what we can to be the best things we can do for the students that we serve. And so we're trying to do it in the least costly way that we can do it. Yes?
Chris?
So Nancy reminded me to reveal my biases, and my bias in this department is always all choice all the time. So I just was wondering if it had crossed your mind to just build about 1,200 students worth of choice school instead of 2 additions and a 600-kid choice school.
Sure, it crossed my mind, but not for $25 million. When you start contemplating doing a 1,200-student school, you're really talking about the size of a comprehensive high school. And so you end up running into size of property issues, cost issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think what we're entering into an era as a community and as a country where I think what's going to emerge over the next decade is what really does it take in order to create appropriate levels of choice and quality for kids and for families, et cetera. And our size problems, our growth issues aren't over. I would anticipate over the next 10 years that we're going to have this conversation again. And I would anticipate that what we may end up doing when we have this conversation again is, should we build yet another choice school of some sort, or should we build a comprehensive high school of some sort? So we're going to have this debate over the next 10 years. We're just not prepared to have that debate today.
Yeah, you got years ahead of you to work on these problems. And don't forget, once we get our middle schools, my hope is that they will function much more like our choice schools.
Very true. And I think that's the other thing that, in case people are also wondering, that does continuing to have more choice schools take away from what the traditional schools do and the quality that they provide? And the answer is no. You're always working at making those better. But for some students, the traditional schools are the best choice. I mean, they are, when you think about it, they are part of the choice platform that we have for students in what direction they want to go and where they want to go. And as they can make a choice to go to a traditional school that is not in their neighborhood, and because they like a program that may be somewhere else, and they make the choice to go there and have transportation from their family. So we do have choices that include our traditional schools, and I guess that sometimes that gets lost in the mix, that's part of the whole list of things that parents and students have before them, is what, especially in the middle school areas, though we do have them in other areas as well. Okay, any other discussion on this? Are we ready to vote on the recommendation from Dr. Kimball? Okay, no more. Okay, hearing no discussion. We have a motion from Doug and a second from Ravi to approve the recommendation that Dr. Kimball has made, which is before you on the screen and up there. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, and so we will have a recommendation coming to us at a future board meeting, and the Citizens Levy Committee will now have its work cut out for it. Well, they will begin at next week, starting off again and getting up and running.
That's a very good point. It will take a lot of support and help to educate our community and get the word out about the needs. I mean, we made a good start, a really good start, but there's much more.
We have a number of PTAs still that will be visiting the rest of this month, so it'll be a little different message that will be going to those local units as we share with them. We have a few in November, and we have a couple that are still into January, so we'll be doing that as part of the work of the Citizens Levy Committee, that they have taken that on as part of their role, plus other things that they'll be doing to promote. And I want to thank everybody here for their participation in doing that work. Okay, superintendent's report. Do you have anything else other than that?
Just one quick one, and it's more of a report for a future report. We have an enormous amount of construction in the pipeline. So we have Finn Hill that is just starting construction, Muir that is underway, Keller is underway, Rose Hill Jr. is getting started pretty soon. Sandberg is getting started. Bell is getting started. ICS is getting started. So we have a lot of construction in the pipeline. So sometime in November, December, during a future superintendent's report, I'm going to ask Forrest and team to come before the board and present plans and just kind of an update of where we are in each of those projects. I know that you, of course, have the opportunity to see things through the consent agenda, et cetera, but I want you to actually see designs and get our thinking, et cetera. And so I'll ask them to come either November or December so you can have an update on the actual plans themselves, so you can kind of touch them and ask questions, et cetera.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Actually, I'll just make an announcement. Council of Education Facility Planners International, CFPI for short, Washington chapter will be touring our brand new Frost Elementary Thursday night. And Lake Washington schools are often of interest to the group. I think I've done about 5 of our schools since I got involved with CFPI. They like this, and these are architects, engineers, school district people from mostly the Puget Sound area, but from around the state. They get together to discuss school construction and architecture and program support by architecture, and they love seeing Lake Washington schools.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Nancy.
Okay, ledge report, Doug.
Yeah, I've got several things. One, of course, is near and dear to your hearts. I hate to raise your adrenaline levels this late in the evening, but
they're going to raise the fees again.
Yeah, our WASDA board voted to ask for a $17,000 dues increase. It'll come before the Legislative Assembly at the state conference next month, so I'll volunteer to attend that and vote against it.
Thank you.
You know, everybody else is taking a cut, and they've been asking every single year we've been in this recession for more money.
As you well know, working for a state agency, your agency is being cut dearly, and so I don't know what's wrong.
I don't understand WASDA.
I lost 2/3 of my program.
Yeah, well,
and the sad thing is...
At least you're still in the budget, hopefully.
Me, not my other
The
staff.
sad thing is we have no choice but to belong.
Yeah. But, and part of this is, in some fairness, part of the problem is, and being one of those people who's over 60, I can attest to this, your employees, as they have more longevity, become more expensive, and that's part of the problem that WASDA faces. Is it's a relatively small agency. It's got older staff. Some of them are retiring, so retirement costs are going up, medical costs are going up, and so part of that is their justification anyway for asking for the increase. So that's coming down the pike.
I hope they get it turned down for a change.
I attended this weekend the legislative meeting for our state association, and we finalized the issue priorities that came before us at the Ledge Assembly last month. And so our top 3 are basically education finance implementation, having the legislature address unfunded mandates, and the whole issue of levy equalization, which doesn't affect us as much as it does, the majority of the members of WASDA who are small districts who really need that equalization. So that's our top 3 issues.
And Doug, can I just make a comment about equalization? Because I think that with the state budget coming up, that's going to continue to be a hot issue for us. from a district that does not receive equalization dollars, I think that equalization is an important part of the formula that needs to exist inside the state to provide some level of equity. The difficulty with equalization is that, number one, the formula is horrible. It really doesn't provide good equalization. And secondly is that it is not commensurate with the politics that has been managed around the levy lid. And so from a Lake Washington perspective, I think those are the things that we need to keep continuing to address is fix the formula, and let's talk again about the inequities around the lid. And but most certainly, we are in favor of equalization to make sure that there is some equity across the state.
Well, and it's interesting you brought that up because part of our discussion about, as we set these priorities out of 100 and, I don't know, about, or I'm sorry, out of 72 issues that were part of the universe, my colleague Chad Magadance from Issaquah raised that whole issue of levy lid. And of course, there was really strong pushback from one of our past presidents who was who's on the legislative committee. And it's, again, for the small districts, this whole issue about equalization is huge, but they're also very concerned about districts such as ours who, you know, have constituents who could pay more than the lid. You know, they said, no, you can't go there. And so it came up, it was discussed, and it was interesting, two districts that really probably have more students in their two districts than the rest of the members combined. You know, we couldn't really prevail on that. So that's part of the dynamic of that agency. Just real briefly, I think you're all aware that the State Board of Education is doing a graduates requirement survey. And so get on the...
And I sent everybody the link.
Yeah, you've got the
I
link,
did it today.
but I'm just reminding you again to take a close look at that and
I don't think it's very
respond.
useful.
And I did promise the board that I would produce a letter that from our board to the State Board of Education specifically around the funding
Yes.
thing. So I will get that in this week's packet so you guys can look at it and then we'll get it off.
Okay, sounds good.
And then the final thing I want to get on everybody's radar is that the superintendent of public instruction is going to go on a roadshow talking about Common Core standards, and I think he's going to hold 5 public hearings, or forums rather, and so keep an eye out for that. Let's see if there's a list of, I don't know if I've got a list of the actual locations, but no, I do. On the 13th of this month, he'll be in Yakima. The 14th, he'll be in Spokane. On the 18th, he'll be in Tacoma. On Thursday, the 21st, he'll be in Vancouver. And this might actually be convenient for some of us. On Monday, the 25th, since I don't think we're having a board meeting,
we just canceled our board
if
meeting.
you're feeling antsy about not having any education stuff that night, go to Shoreline Conference Center at the Mount Rainier Room and weigh in. It starts at 6 p.m. and you'll learn about Common Core K-12 standards for English language, arts, mathematics, and
Are these geared towards the general public or
I
schools?
believe so.
Nodding their heads over there, yes.
I believe so.
General public? So there's
Yeah, it
going to
says
be
the
a
public
blitz?
is invited to watch presentation, well, they've got a webinar too on the 28th. So,
And I'm not sure that Randy Dorn will actually be there because I understood he had double knee replacement surgery and he's laid up for 2 or 3 weeks, so I'm
So
not
it'll
sure.
probably be Alan?
it'll probably be
Alan
Mr. Burke.
or Ken Knickenberg,
Yeah.
probably Alan Burke.
Yeah.
Yes, nodding over there, yes. Okay.
So that's what I have.
And then we had talked also that once the election takes place and you begin meeting with legislators, that you'll share your schedule and board members will attend with you. I'm starting to compile my list of issues. Anything for future agenda items from board members? Okay, any board follow-up?
It was on the soup report, wasn't it?
What about
I mean, in the board memo.
We talked about some of this stuff in the, I guess you weren't there, Chris, but the ENDS monitoring last time. As I recall, the purpose of the follow-up, it was to, like, one of the things would be to follow up on things that we'd raised on, so, like, I don't know if you have anything to say this time about the discussion we had, like there were some additional items, or like when are we going to take that up again? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't have anything to say tonight. How about that? But I will make sure that when because let's see, we will do ER 2-3 again at our next board meeting. We don't have a board meeting in between, so so I apologize. I'm not really prepared to talk a whole lot about it tonight.
Okay.
But we'll do a review of the last one and do the new one at the same time on November 8th, and then we will keep doing that. So I apologize.
Okay. So
unless you want to make some additional comments.
No.
Okay.
I just wanted to just
get it on the radar. Yep.
Okay.
Right.
Yep. And that's what the
So
follow-up
so
is.
when you do that, like we talked about sort of the major concerns, like will you bring like, and here's what it would take to
Yes.
address those
Yes.
if
Here's what I
we're so
heard.
inclined.
Here's what it would take. Yes, that's the intent.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great.
That'd be great.
Thanks.
Good. Any debrief for tonight? Okay. Any board member comments? Chip and I visited with City of Kirkland, with Janine, and we met with Kurt Triplett, who is their new city manager, and Mayor McBride, which is we meet 2 or 3 times a year as a group just to talk about mutual issues back and forth. And the largest topic for the evening or the afternoon happened to be impact fees and having the City of Kirkland City Council pass those. And so they are interested from the mayor's perspective if they could hear from some people that are not board members and personnel and staff to see if there's people in the community that live in Kirkland who can tell them how important it is to have some of those funds come to us as we have schools get bigger, because they're building houses that send more children, and that the developers should be able to absorb some of those impact fees and help address the situation. We also updated, it was mostly a getting to know one another and updating each other on what we've done in the past, and again, looking at issues in the future. But it was a very productive meeting, and they always are good to go, and I'm glad we have them.
And they did say that even though they've got a pretty serious budget issue, that they are
Yes.
keeping the SRO in their budget.
Oh, thank heavens.
Which is great. So I feel like we've done our part and they need to do their part. And also,
Well, that's the city
Is
manager.
Redmond also?
That's the city manager's budget. That doesn't mean that the council will approve
the
it.
council can line item veto that item, of course, but the city manager is keeping it.
Very bad idea.
The city manager, Kurt Triplett, did ask me to initiate a few meetings with some of the new council members to give them a deeper understanding of the impact fee issue, which I've scheduled over the next 30 days before it gets in front of the council in November.
Yes, and then Chip and Kurt are going to be working together and getting this ready again to go before the city council. This has been before them 3, 4 times at least over the last few years. So hopefully this will be the time it'll happen. We will not adjourn because we're going to go into executive session for 15 minutes. I do want to announce that we will not have an October 25th meeting. It has been canceled. And our next meeting will be November the 8th. We will have a 5 p.m. work session on end results, goals, and then our regular meeting begins at 7:30 p.m.
I'll move. Oh, I can't move.
Can't move because we're not moving.
Hallelujah.
We're not moving.
All you have to do is move.
Yes, just have to move your body.